What is going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of the Respect the Game podcast. We are in a new year. Beautiful to be in a new year. We are not at full strength. Our brother Sedacious is out this week to start off the new year, but he will be back with us. Don't worry, he didn't go back behind the wall to jail. My name is Edward. Please follow me at Emax Stacks for all your up-to-date high school, pro, and collegiate sports coverage. Shout out to my pops, a Trillo G, who I'm named after. Shout out to my mama and my granny, them too. And I know I always say, what better way to bring in a podcast than with your brothers? But what better way to bring in the new year on a podcast with your brothers? My brothers, how are y'all doing?
Man, Shine Hard Izzo, and I'm switching up the intro a little bit this time, man. Had a traumatic wreck, and it made me gain some perspective. And change is yet ever constant, but it's needed to evolve. So, Shine Hard Izzo is coming at you still with the charismatic excellence, but there's always gonna be, yeah, man. That's still Cash App, you know. Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, whatever, man. Let's go.
So it's no more hood, bro? It's no more...
I'm still a hood nigga, man, but you know what? You don't have to tell everybody. Spade is a spade, man.
Yeah.
Bill Gates ain't got to tell nobody rich.
Church.
Well, it is the host with the most that blows the most smoke, Black Peace, formerly known as Rasta. Check me out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get your dope ass podcast. The name of that podcast is Talkin Smoke. We talk hip hop culture. Be going about a little bit of news, a little bit of documentaries, upcoming artists, fashion. Just whatever's live. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, let's go.
I am Coach Johnson. I am the husband of Jordan. I am the father of Harper and Deuce. I will not be bringing the controversy today for many reasons. I will be a docile, agreeable member today, but I will try to help you reason out thoughts a little bit better. And for our brother, Sedacious Xavier Miles, we thank you so much for rocking with us. Beautiful people. Take it away, Edwards.
Yo, so before we get into the podcast, well, we already have started the podcast, but I know everybody and their mama love to have New Year resolution goals, so on and so forth. Fancy quotes and scriptures and horoscopes, so on and so forth. Live your 2022 with this message in mind, okay? Go forth in the new year like a bougie soccer player, okay? Like a bougie soccer player. What does that mean? Don't kick it with people who have no goals, all right? So there we go. Shout out to Westside Boogie for that one. All righty, man. So before we get into 2022, we didn't really get to do a wrap-up show to end the new year or to end the old year for 2021. But I don't know. Do y'all have some, just off the top of your head, some of the hottest takes, some of the best predictions, some of the worst predictions or worst takes of 2021 that instantly comes to y'all mind? I'll start mine off. I'll go first. It's not related to sports, but I must hang my hat, if y'all remember, on the Kendrick Lamar prediction of 2021. I made the prediction, and literally 2 to 3 days later, he dropped some on social media like I said he would. So that's just the start. But I got some bad ones that I'll come back around to, but we'll start off with the good.
I'm gonna go ahead and dive right off into it. It may be a segment that we may touch on a little later, but I believe somebody on here had the Kansas City Chiefs not making the playoffs.
I said I want to wait to the end to next week because I started adding up the takes and I was just like,
you were dumbfounded by how many were egregiously wrong.
All right, so check this out, right? So, because he's docile tonight. So I'll come back to a bad take and I somewhat sympathize with Coach Johnson. So obviously last year, 2021, I was saying that when we was talking about basketball, and I'm like, yo, the Bucs will not win a championship with Giannis playing the way he is playing, right? So on and so forth. And my argument around that was solely based like, yo, Giannis cannot just sit there and try to Euro step his way to an NBA championship. He got to be able to grow confidence, step out, stretch out, shoot the mid-range, shoot the three. And they ended up winning the championship, albeit some would argue so on and so forth, injuries. Hey, best ability is availability, so that's that. But Giannis was also in those playoffs shooting jumpers. He wasn't just Euro stepping his way to the rim. And I was just like, I mean, I said he wouldn't win if that's all he did, but he's doing what I said he needed to do. So therefore, hey, they finally got the championship. And so I kind of thought about that in terms of Coach Johnson's Chiefs take in terms of, well, they don't have this, they don't have that. If they do this, maybe, but they're going to suck and they may not make the playoffs or struggle to get the 10 wins only because they have this right now. But if they do X, Y, and Z, beef up the defense and get this play over here, they may be able to do something. And so I kind of flirted with sympathizing with his Chiefs taking. I'm like, maybe this is what it's like to be like Coach Johnson and be like, no, I wasn't fully wrong because they still did what I said they needed to do. But
yeah, it wasn't fully wrong because I put a lot of qualifiers at the end of my statement to kind of buffer it just in case it goes sideways just a little bit. I got something to say my ass. So, hey, what's new, man? Just a new year.
Okay. Well, I will say this. Tonight, I won't try to defend my Chiefs take. I think, Edward, you have laid the foundation for my defense next week. But I will say another place that I was wrong was about the rest of the AFC. I did not expect everyone else to be so mediocre. I expected struggles from the Chiefs to be capitalized on by teams like the Broncos. I expected Teddy Bridgewater to play better to be able to capitalize on that. I expected teams like the Bills to stand out inside the AFC. They have not. I expected the Browns to be way better than what they were this year, and so there was not a team, or there wasn't consistency across the AFC to be able to take advantage of the flaws of the Chiefs, to make them barely get to 10 wins and not make the playoffs. So we have that there. One of the better takes though from Coach Johnson was on Micah Parsons. He's had a stellar rookie year. The Cowboys have been better than what people thought they would be early on, and so they have a chance here in the playoffs. Even though they just lost, they have some things to fix, but they're pretty good there. But mostly what I am just floored by is the lack of a standout team this year. I mean, I don't know of anybody who predicted that. I thought that there would be some standouts. I mean, even the Packers, I'm not too confident in the Packers. The Bucs, they almost lost to the Jets this week.
Did they?
So I mean,
hold on. I'm gonna cut you off because there's a nice list of the AFC where you're wrong, but we ain't gonna get that deep into it. So I'm gonna cut you off to come back over to Darnell for a little bit, couple more predictions before we nose dive into football. I don't. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. It wasn't a.
Mm-hmm.
It was a hot take that I had that I think. Well, I know for sure rubbed Darnell the wrong way in the beginning of 2020-21, and that was my Donda take on Kanye West's album. How do you feel looking back at that album now, Darnell? Now that we're in the year 2022.
I feel like there's a lot of unknown information, uh, just about him that you needed to know to understand the whole situation. A lot of people didn't understand that until that a couple of Drink Champs episodes that Kanye was technically obsessed more than just not liking him. He was obsessed with Drake with liking him. You know what I'm saying? So it was one of the things where he when you like somebody and you dislike them at the exact same time, you don't want to let all guns out. But in some cases, that person that who you're beefing with, they like, call that. I don't like you at all no more. I'm done with you. And that was the case. So while he's over here like shooting shots and putting little subliminals and saying how you feel about the beef, he held back a lot. Just like the song with Life of the Party. And I felt like that's what you were missing out of the album. And that made you just feel like, bro, what the bro? Like, why are these people all on here? Why is this? Why is that? And it's like I felt like the album he really could have put out that the people would have wanted, which is him coming at Drake a certain way and him having certain features on and this and that, and just doing things a certain way that the people would have wanted, and it would have been it wouldn't have been as good, I feel like. And I feel like he would have burnt a bridge that wouldn't have able been crossed back. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that he didn't drop that Life of the Party on the album was the smartest thing Kanye could have ever done. So I felt like that would have pushed that point of like, nah, we straight going at it. There is no calming it down. There is no talking about it. Now we just going at each other's necks. You know what I'm saying? Read in between the lines on the whole Donda album, everything he's saying about him is just like very subliminal, more not even coming at his neck, just trying to be dominant. One track of the album was a diss song, and that's what you wanted. You know what I'm saying? So how I feel about it, I felt like he did what was best for his career and for not burning any bridges, basically. So I think that you hated that album and it was such a bad, you took it as a bad review. You know what I'm saying? I understand it, but I understand what Ye was doing now. Just from after, the album actually dropped and him doing a few interviews. I understand, like, okay, he just didn't want to put all his cards in one little spot. He wanted to make sure he was, all right, I'm gonna be smart about it. I'm not gonna just go off the deep end. And I feel like that's the incompleteness that you saw in that album that you felt was missing. So it is what it is, man. Like you have your hot take on it, but Kanye's Kanye, basically.
So I think on the podcast, one of the most quotable people on the pod is Shine Hart Izzo.
This
He shines hard. What do you expect? What is a take that Shine Hard had this? Well, the first one that comes to mind, and I don't know if this is what you think, Isaac, or if you even have one, which cards and Kyler Murray being a dark horse MVP, I think he was pretty spot on. Pretty spot on, Jack. Pretty spot on, Jack. Getting to and you think he picked them to get to the NFC Championship too. I believe so.
Yeah, he also picked them to win the division, which they didn't. And Kyler Murray is MVP talk now still?
No, not at this point. In 2021.
He had talked a little bit, but
he'd be a dark horse candidate for MVP, and he actually surpassed that and was a front runner at a certain portion of the season.
Before he got injured, I guess you could start.
Before he got injured,
okay.
There was a lot of talks, especially on Pro Football Focus, with him leading the MVP talks. But again, depending on who you talk to, any given Sunday, it was a different person leading that category. But I think what you were alluding to more importantly, Edward is just a long line of history. Of Sean Hart Izzo being accurate, correct, and being truthful in his words, bearing fruit from a good tree. I believe is what we have come to, know and love.
I just want to point out that at that same time when Kyler Murray was in the MVP conversation, the Chiefs were 3-4, and everyone was trying to figure out what's wrong with the Chiefs. So I'm just saying, if we're gonna hold to the standard, I'm saying if our predictions are going to be season-long predictions, and we're going to hold to that standard, hey, what does your body of work look like for the season? Then let's stick to that. And that's not say all at one point.
I'm not gonna dive off into the Chiefs argument. You kind of more so laid the foundation for next week. So don't dive off.
No. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. We're gonna hold a standard. If we're gonna hold a standard, let's hold the standard for everybody. So,
Okay. So,
hey,
so if we're holding the standard, one standard that can be held, that we don't need one more game to finish out for the NFL season is, one of my predictions was Trevor Lawrence will struggle. That was set in stone. We don't need one more game to see if Trevor Lawrence is going to struggle. Coach Johnson also said the Jaguars.
Did I not say that? Did I not say that as well? Did I not say that as well?
I'm just repeating how trash and horrid and putrid their organization was from top to bottom, starting with Talkin and with Urban Meyer. As a
hold on. Before you go, Christian, are you saying you didn't also say that the Jaguars were going to struggle? What are you saying?
No. I did not say that Trevor Lawrence would not struggle. I consistently compared Trevor Lawrence to Andrew Luck, who his rookie year had a 50 PFF grade. For those who don't understand what that means, that he was terrible, right? PFF grades, people, 60 is average. Anything below 60, you're pretty much terrible. That's right around where Trevor Lawrence is grading this year, right? Now, I did predict that he would win Rookie of the Year because I had to pick. I said some rookie quarterback will win Rookie of the Year because most of the time they don't give it to anyone. Offensive Rookie of the Year, they don't give it to anyone who's not a quarterback. So I was like, hey, might as well go with my guy, Trevor Lawrence. So, but him having struggles, I did not say that he would not have struggles, right? I did not think that he was going to come out just blazing, right? I thought he would do better than what he did, but I did say that, hey, he might have a Andrew Luck-like season. I had more faith in Urban Meyer, which was wrong, which on this podcast, I said, hey, I was wrong with that.
Real quick. Let me just cut you off real quick, just for like joking and stuff. Other than you coming to the podcast and you rocking out with me, minus that, and who you chose and a wife, minus that.
Mm-hmm.
And football as a coach, you got a pretty bad judge of character, it seems like. Urban Meyer.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the other guy that's just on my mind? Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
I respect your X's and O's, but your eye test, which I know you don't really, I don't know how much value you put in eye test. But your eye test is shaky because you also, I know you don't. I don't want you
eyeballing my weed up. No.
I know you don't care about the AFC South. I know you felt like that division was finicky. You picked the Jaguars to win that division, and you completely everything but crucified and took and urinated on the Titans.
I did.
Yeah,
I did. But so hold on.
Like, it's not there, my G.
So
you suck at predicting.
I'll say that. Wait, I mean, hey, there are a lot of hold on now. There are a lot of great football minds who suck at predicting, and they'll tell you that. But
we talk about
Chris Sims. There are a lot of great football minds who are bad at predicting.
But
there are a lot of great football minds who are bad at predicting. I'm not. No, I would not consider myself a great football mind. But I would say that
acumen and opinion. I wouldn't call it a great football mind. I'm not ready to go.
Yeah, no. I'm not. I'm saying there are people who know way more football than I do who are bad at predicting. Because I think it's probably because of the way that we look at the game. Now, there were talks on, even if you watch the Sunday Night Football show on NBC, right? With Tony Dungy, Chris Sims, Mike
Collinsworth
Mike,
has
but they're like, hey, Mike Vrabel should be in the conversation for Coach of the Year because the Tennessee Titans, with a bunch of reasons why they should not be the number one team in the AFC, they are. Why? I mean, it's unexplainable. It's like, wait a second. There's no reason. The Titans are not a great team. They're not a great team. No one looks at them and say, oh, the Titans are great. Okay, hey, they got A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown is awesome, right? Their defense, they got a couple of big names, and after that, it's like, why is their defense good? So my thing with the Titans
to that. So here's the thing to that, right? So why in the hell are the Titans doing what they're doing? Nobody expecting them to do what they're doing. Give Mike Vrabel Coach of the Year, because looking at his roster and how the season started, and you don't have Derrick Henry, how has he been able to accomplish what he's accomplished? Those same football heads, I was
right on Derrick Henry.
Yeah, that's cute, but we're not talking about that right now. So those same football great heads will crown, pretty much even yourself, crown the Cleveland Browns before the season started, because they had all of this beautiful whatever on their roster, and those same beautiful minds that you were talking about. The Cleveland Browns are it. They are those guys. They have X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and 1, 2, 3, and they are not even in the playoffs. So, is that just crediting more to like y'all ain't good at predictions, even when you think you see a great team?
I think that says more about the game of football that there is. I think it says two things. So I'm gonna say one thing about them and another thing about me. One, it says something about the game of football, right? The game of football is hard to predict, right? It's there are a lot of things can go one way. Hey, no one saw before the 2017 season. No one saw the Jazz go into the AFC Championship, right? Hey, with Blake Bortles, there's no way, right? But they end up doing it. They had a bunch of things go their way. They end up doing it, right? So that happens in the game of football, right? One thing that I messed up in my analysis of a lot of things this year is I have taken too much stock in the totality of a team, right? Hey, if I look at players 1 through 53, and I do an analysis of every position, hey, the totality of the team, I think that they can do X, Y, and Z, right? What things like the Chiefs this year, the Bengals this year, right? One of the reasons why I didn't buy into the Bengals, because I didn't see them as the totality of the team and the coaching staff, really the coaching staff, but the totality of the team as well. I didn't see them being a great. But if you have players in the right positions that are excellent, they can carry you a long way. And so I didn't see that. So even for the Titans, and that's gonna be the last thing to say. Ryan Tannehill has played great this year, even without a lot of great things on offense for him, and having great talent at the defensive tackle position and at the safety position for the Titans defense. They've been able to figure out a way to put it together. So, there's some things that we can mess up in that predictions.
I have one more question, and then we'll go to basketball. So, putting too much stock, as you said, into the totality of a team. Hey, 1 through 53, talented, boom, 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 boom. They should be able to do X, Y, Z. But as a coach, right? What does talent mean if guys aren't really coached in the right position? Now, granted, you may have a talented team, but you suffer due to injuries and other factors, right? But I think as it relates to football, how I do my best to learn the X's and O's, but also try to go off the consistency of, okay, I know there's a lot of variables, but said X player, through his body of work, that has shown that he's a pretty fairly consistent anomaly on the field to where if he's playing great, good 8 out of 10 times, that's going to work well for the team overall, right? And that's not necessarily the totality of talent. That's just really banking or riding or betting or predicting on one player playing great. So how do you move forward from this season and understanding, no, not everybody's great at predictions and looking at, okay, not trying to put and bet your whole stock on talent and try to go about thinking, okay, what type of schemes are these teams going to be running with these players, or who's possibly going to get beat out, or and not just who are they playing. And this team has more talent than this team, so this team should beat them. And Vegas is going to do it this way, but putting the X's and O's on how you think the team is going to play and how that will work for the talent.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. I put a lot of that stuff in the analysis. The one thing I did not put into as much stock was hey, this team has a great quarterback, MVP level quarterback, great receiver, great tight end. Maybe that's about all you need to win games, right? I looked at, well, hey, this team has a mediocre quarterback, but everything else is great. I think they can do something, right? I looked at stuff like X's and O's. One of the reasons why I thought the Browns would be great is, hey, even though Baker Mayfield is not that great of a quarterback, he looked pretty good last year. I have a lot of confidence in Kevin Stefanski. I have a lot of confidence in Andrew Berry, the GM. I have a little bit of confidence in the DC, but I think the talent there will override his ineptitude, right? Where that didn't happen this year, and so
you see what happens when you have talent but not the right coaching, i.e., say with you guys, Bill O'Brien. I just have to bring him back.
Rich, I don't know if y'all saw it too.
Do not say anything about him being the offensive coordinator at Alabama, because you could call plays for Alabama. No. Okay, thank you.
No. I was saying no. I sent y'all the tweet about he may get a look at the Jags head coaching job.
Oh, I didn't see that. I missed that one.
Yeah, I sent that to y'all. So that's why I said that's why I said depending on what the Jags do.
Oh, please get that job.
Depending on what the Jags do this offseason, I might be transferring my fandom somewhere else.
Bro,
so
I pray Bill O'Brien takes that Jacksonville job. Please, Bill O'Brien. Please, bro.
Yeah,
so he can bring another college coach there and think he is the fucking guy who made Tom Brady and have an arrogance that will.
Hey, who knows? Maybe he just may have something against Clemson guys. Who knows? But Bill O'Brien take that job, man, and turn that organization around. All right.
Hey, at least we'll be average. We've been sucking past 20 years, so at least we'll be average. So I'll take that. I'd take average.
So not that far into the year 2022, a decision that was made in 2021 was Kyrie Irving electing not to take the vaccine for COVID to be able to play throughout the NBA season. Because of that decision, the Nets elected to not allow him to participate in any team activities until he was fully vaccinated. They would not allow him to be a part-time participant. They would not allow, this is in 2021, they would not allow him to only play away games when the Nets were not inside the New York State, playing home games or against the New York Knicks, because due to COVID regulation and laws, you can't be in buildings and facilities not fully vaccinated. All right. So that decision was made in 2021, and now here in 2022, due to COVID, the new surge, new strand, or Omicron, or Omarion, whatever you want to call it, NBA players are out due to COVID protocol left and right. And now Kyrie Irving, they need Kyrie Irving back because they're down guys. So he is expected to come back this Wednesday. Y'all are probably listening to this on the Thursday, so he has probably already played. Kyrie Irving will be debuting against the Indiana Pacers. For the first time this season, right now the Brooklyn Nets are 23-12, number 2 in the Eastern Conference, right behind the Bulls, who are 25-10 at number 1. So my initial thoughts about this, I believe that Kyrie Irving is going to come back on Wednesday to play against the Indiana Pacers. Then right around that, right when Kyrie Irving is trying to get back in rhythm, get in game shape, there's no conditioning like the game condition. After he comes back tomorrow, potentially against the Indiana Pacers, the Nets turn around, go back home, and they play against the Milwaukee Bucks. Kyrie can't play. And then their record goes home, away, so on and so forth. And I was thinking that, hey, Kyrie Irving is coming back. They've been performing well. James Harden is coming back to life. KD is going to always be KD. And then I started thinking about maybe y'all funny games now, but what do you do when the playoffs come around and Kyrie Irving still not vaccinated, and you may or may not have home court advantage depending on what the situation is? Oh, hey, you get to the finals and you out for 2 games without Kyrie because you can't play at home. What does that look like down the road? So I just started thinking about that when I heard he came when he was coming back. And so I'm interested to see around April if Kyrie Irving still decides not to be vaccinated, or if maybe New York State laws revolved around COVID. If they change, what would that look like come playoff season for the Brooklyn Nets? But Kyrie Irving coming back, what do y'all think about that? Only able to play away games for the New York Nets. I'm sorry, New Jersey, Brooklyn Nets. Sorry.
Well, I think it's gonna be colossal. In the words of Super Future, Fire Marshal Future Hendrix. I think it could. I think it could definitely be. It could be backbreaking. Especially in a dog road series in the playoffs, and Lord forbid they make it all the way to the NBA Finals, and then you got to play all your home games without one Mr. Kyrie Irving, the godson of Mr. Rob Strickland. Like why would we? Go ahead.
What if you get a game 7 in the finals and you can't play with dude and you at home for game 7?
Oh my God! Well, you better go get the emergency doctor to come out to your crib, take that COVID vaccine before that game 7. Kyrie, this is 2. We may not get back here. I need you here, son. I need you here. I understand your beliefs, but I believe in championships and your legacy, son. I don't want your legacy to be COVID, son. And I'm feeling with the vaccine. I do. I actually feel him a lot. But I don't live in New York, brother. And unfortunately, that's how they rocking up there. Jesus, man. Hey, you living a hell of a life. Yeah. What are we willing to do for a championship? And I think it comes literally down to, it's as simple as that. What am I willing to do to win? Because I can just hear the inner Kobe in him saying, Kai, we gonna I can just hear Kobe now. Because it's not even about the vaccine. I don't care. If taking the vaccine means that I get to play and then win and go be, then come on, man. In the spirit of that, I know what Kobe would do because he's so dedicated to the mission. And I'm saying, I know he has that essence and that same ilk, that same spirit within him. Not saying that he is Kobe Bryant, but he's cut from the same cloth as this man. I just don't see a world where he's not willing to exhaust our options in order to get the main goal accomplished. But hey, if he does decide to do that, man, you will bet your ass that ESPN, ABC, CBS, and every other running sports, network will be writing about it to his detriment. And he won't probably be able to live that down.
I would think that if he's gone this far, that no matter what the circumstances are, that he would not end up taking the vaccine. I think at that point, if the situation came to what you just described, Edward, I think it would be a great gesture from the governor of New York and the mayor of New York City to suspend the COVID policies for the
One
day
game,
or
one night,
something like that
one day.
Nigga,
to make
suspend them for
sure.
the playoffs. Fuck does he mean? We trying to
You know,
win.
yeah. I mean, if
I
they
could be.
had a state and city pride, they could do something like that. But I'm not sure that they would. So,
I could be.
but I don't see Kyrie, taking the vaccine for the championship. So
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I want to say it was a New York mayor who wanted to receive his paycheck or his first installment of his paycheck through like Bitcoin or something of that nature. So he's with the times. He's trying to think and be futuristic. So hey, he may if
Eric.
that's the same mayor I'm thinking about.
Yeah, it could be him because Eric Adams is an eccentric type of guy. But when it comes to the COVID policies, I mean, he's decided to extend what the previous mayor just put out as far as more stringent policies. So, I'm not sure what he'll do. So we'll see though. We'll see.
Houston, we have a problem. We obviously have a very young team. Had the second overall draft pick this season, and Jalen Green, he's been balling out. But had us a hiccup this week for the Houston Rockets. Christian Wood, Kevin Porter Jr. suspended for getting into it with the legendary coach John Lucas in halftime in a game against the Denver Nuggets. Kevin Porter Jr. threw something in the locker room. It was reported, then proceeded to leave the arena, come back into the second half. Christian Woods elected not to be subbed into the game. Those fellas were then from those actions, those fellas were suspended for a game against the Philadelphia 76ers. Black Peace, the locker room didn't seem that peaceful. What do you take from that exchange?
Losing. Losing is heavy, brother. It is very, very heavy. I know a few fellas that have endured a bit of losing and they're not taking it quite well. But like
I said I'm not going to curse on the podcast this episode.
Hey, come on! I'm not a cocky guy. I have to get one in. But no, I think the main thing is honestly is losing. Honestly, they had a little spark at the beginning of the year. I think they went on like a 6 or 7 game win streak, maybe 8. And no, it was like 7. And ever since then, they just been back to garbage. I feel like nobody knows where to point the finger to, and they're going to the stars. They're going to Christian Woods, who's the I guess you would say the veteran of the team. You're going to KCP, who's the primary veteran scorer on the team, if you'll say, or shooter on the team, or guard for sure, young guard. And it's at this point where nobody knows what to do. You got Jalen, like you said, is flocking his wings, and I mean, it's kind of a circus right now. And according to my knowledge, Christian Wood actually did something I feel like that affected his stock. I believe the Rockets were actually up in that Denver game by 9 points, and when he checked in, he went negative 19 on the floor or 17, and totally flip-flopped the game. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, minus. He went minus 19, I believe, and they ended up benching him for it. And that, in my opinion, I know you have your differences with your coach, but do your job, do your part, do what these people pay and pay admission to come see, which is great, high potential, high intensity basketball, not you pouting because you're not getting your way or you had disagreement. Business is business, yes, but professional sports is professional sports. At this point, I feel like it is deteriorating, but it can be fixed. I feel like there should be some moves being made. Sadly, because I did like how the team was going. I like the young energy, but, this kind of thing can't be accepted, in my opinion, if we try to build an actual strong team. I can't say both of them need to go, but some arrangements need to be done. You know what I'm saying? So just for the benefit of the organization and just for future players, let them know, like, hey, you come to this organization, bro, you got to, fall in line. We just had James Harden, who was going to strip clubs every night. So this is the last thing you want to see is your players.
MVP basketball.
Harden
That's
is
fine,
a 3-time score champ MVP.
But at the same time, though, with a team with no necessary dominant leader or with a heavy paycheck, it's kind of up in the air. Everybody kind of do what they want to do.
John
You know
Lucas
what I mean?
is not the leader of this basketball team. No offense.
Oh,
I love John Lucas. I like John Lucas. I respect John Lucas. But in the sense of, I don't know what was said. We don't know what was done. It could have been something so out of line to where, as a man, it's just certain shit I'm just not gonna budge on, right? So we don't know those inexcusable acts that, hey, could have crossed an invisible line there. So I'm not gonna really speak to, what was said or speculate. But Kevin Porter
Just
Jr.
fueled by losing.
It's true, but Kevin Porter Jr. has also had a history of acting out or, acting a certain way, whether that be on the bench or in the locker room or with coaches or whatever the case may be, when things have not been advantageous or when things have not swayed his direction. So could it be another instance of that? I'm not too sure. It very well could be. But to see Christian Wood be entangled in it as well is a bit more telling, because they're, three of the, that being, the other being Jalen Green, they're looked at as, two of the better players, or, if not two of the best players on the team. So, if your leaders of the team are doing that, it's just, maybe something is bit off with leadership or, the coaching staff up there in Houston, and maybe it just needs to be corrected. Maybe they need to clean house, entirely new coaching staff. Maybe they need to go in a different direction. Who knows? But John Lucas does have a lot of respect around the league.
Somebody needs to go, period. Like, I agree, whether it be coaching or players. Like, I feel like we were too good of an organization for two big pieces to leave. Not big, with two big names to leave, and we just fall back to crumbs. That being the GM and also being James Harden. I feel like we were more than them. I feel like we stayed in the game of being in the playoffs before either one of them came. And I feel like this is just a winning organization that doesn't quit. And this is the worst we've ever been.
But what
since
you got
2001.
Right, Darnell, but see, what you have to be mindful of, hence Respect the Game podcast, you have to respect the process, right? So yeah, they got rid of GM, they got rid of James Harden, it didn't work with Melo, it didn't work with Russell Westbrook. The Rockets are essentially rebuilding with draft picks, bro. And that's just gonna take time. And within that time, just gonna be a bad team, or you know what I'm saying? Maybe some more victories you have to grab. You might have to grab more victories than actual W victories, but I think that's just something to be mindful of. Obviously, you still got John Wall. They're not playing him. They're trying to find somebody to trade with him to get those pieces to help add. So look at Eric Gordon. He's in trade discussions. He's a veteran. He's an OG. I mean, that's Rockets true and blue. But forgive me for being repetitive, but I like what Isaac said. It's reported as John Lucas challenged them. Operative word, challenge. We don't know what was said in that challenge, where, like Isaac said, it's just certain things you're not going to stand for as a man. And as I continue to grow, as I continue to do the podcast, as I'm continuing in media, I just try to pay attention to the full story will never truly be told. Sometimes in rare situations, you may get the full story, but the full story will never be told. I know my knee-jerk reaction was just like, man, bro, like, y'all can't take those opportunities for granted to be able to get out there on the court. You know what I'm saying? Suppose whatever bad happened and you just say you ain't going in and something happened, you really never get that chance again. Might be a bit of an extremist thought, but I thought about it that way initially.
But my main thing, bro, is like, I understand man is man, but when you involve yourself in a team sport, that's exactly what you did. You involved yourself in a team sport. And I feel like, bro, like the Christian Wood situation, like that. When I heard actually like the way he played it, I'm like, bro, that's not how you get it done, my dude. You actually competing against a top team, which can build morale. You're winning by 9. You're not supposed to be winning by 9, in my opinion. And you come in with your, not I'm not gonna do that. That's selfish. That's rude. You come in with your personal matter, and now you play poorly, and now the team suffers, and they got to take a whole L as a team now because of your personal. You know what I mean? That's what rubs me wrong. Like you have an issue, yeah, deal with it. Even whatever. But it's like you're like, come on, bro. Like you in a game. Like you're actually. Your teams depend on you. I know you got a personal issue, but it's like the team. Like finish that after, go off and get fined. That's how I feel about it. You know what, bro? Do your part, do your best you can. And you know what? In the interview, get fined there. Because you know you can get fined for saying what you want. Why not? You can get suspended there. But guess what? You was there for your team, though.
I just push it forward and talking about criticizing people for leaving the game. Antonio Brown, right?
Yeah.
Just how with Kevin Porter Jr., there's been a report of repeated behavior. And so obviously, this Antonio Brown has had various instances where he may not have completely threw off his shoulder pads in the middle of the game and waved by, but he has had moments where he just said, I ain't going in, I ain't playing, right? So along with off the field issues. So I'm going to go through them, and then we can talk about what transpired against the New York Jets when he walked off, and it was reported after he's no longer with the Bucs. January 2017 against the Chiefs. Obviously, he goes on social media live streaming while Mike Tomlin is talking. It's supposed to be a sacred moment in the locker room, so that brings attention. December 31st, 2018, week 17 leading up, he decides not to practice. The Pittsburgh Steelers are in playoff contention if they play in that game. Because he didn't practice, he was inactive throughout that game. He decided to leave the game at halftime. July 26, 2019, he gets frostbite on his feet during the cryotherapy session. He's placed on the non-football injury list. Some people have said, why would you do that, not protect yourself? That was ruled a non-football injury. August 12th, he distanced himself from the Raiders because he couldn't have a helmet that the NFL no longer allowed. That caused the problem. September 24th, 2019, he goes on a rant on social media going at the Raiders general manager. September 7th, Brown asked to be released. The Raiders cut him. September 7th, sexual assault allegations were reported against Antonio Brown. September 18th, it was reported that he was sending threatening messages to the women who had placed allegations against him based off misconduct and sexual harassment, so on and so forth. September 19th, off season or preseason, AB gets picked. He was picked up, gets cut by the Patriots. January 22nd, Brown is charged with the felony of burglary and battery in Hollywood, Florida. Then pleads no contest to that situation. He's given 2 years probation, ordered to go to psychological evaluation and attend anger management and perform 100 hours of community service. That happened on July 12th. July 31st, he was suspended 8 games because of the assault and because of the burglary and battery charges. He was suspended 8 games. October 27, 2020, signed with the Bucs in week 9 after serving that 8-game suspension. Obviously went on to win a Super Bowl, had a couple catches and a touchdown. And he was picked up. He was re-signed beginning of the year, 1 year, $3.1 million. And in this season, December 2nd, 3-game suspension for lying about his COVID vaccination card. Then after that, to top it all off, obviously he had his outbursts on the field where he took his uniform off, threw his helmet, threw his gloves, threw his towels, everything, and pieced out the stadium in the middle of a game when the Buccaneers were down 24-10 midway late in the third quarter against the New York Jets. Who wants to take it first and talking about holding all athletes accountable across the board for leaving games or
I'll go ahead and take it. Yes, we should hold Antonio Brown accountable. And for all those who are talking about Antonio Brown has mental health issues, which he may have, that he needs to get looked at and all this stuff, sure, he may have that. But if we're gonna give mental health issues a pass in one arena for athletes, we should give mental health issues a pass, across athletic fields, across genders, yeah. So just like I have not given any mental health passes yet, I won't give one to Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown obviously has issues. Obviously is a prima donna. Obviously is a great talent, which is why he keeps getting opportunities. But Antonio Brown is about making business boom for AB. That everybody knows that, and so
God.
if he if it's not about him, then so that's what the Bucs they were willing to deal with that for the talent there, and that's what the cost they had to pay. So no sympathy here from Coach Johnson for Antonio Brown. I wouldn't give him another opportunity in the NFL, but somebody probably will. Somebody probably will. Because he's a great talent. He's a great talent. He is a great talent.
What person do you know plays a awful team, a top 5 draft team? They losing to them. They are the best quarterback to ever breathe air. And for whatever reason in your brain, you decide to leave, knowing that you're going to the playoffs, knowing that you're highly favored other than against the Green Bay Packers, and knowing that you have a high chance of winning.
Go to the Chiefs, AB.
Not only that.
I feel like not only that, the main thing that people are saying that he was, one reason he left is because of his stats. Tom Brady would have gave him his stats.
He would have. Tom Brady.
Yeah.
That receiver. No. Listen, that receiver that came in and saved the day was a slot. Was in that exact same position pretty much, and he gave him.
Who was the receiver that
gave him that touchdown?
Was it
exactly?
I believe his last name was Grayson or something like that.
There you go. There you go.
I do want to give a shout out to
60 yards.
Jalen Darden from UNT, actually a home native of Houston, Texas. Actually used to go to Calvary Missionary Baptist Church when he was a youngin'. So that's another Calvary alma mater, man. We breed them here, man. Play for the Buccaneers. Number 1, Jalen Darden, star receiver at UNT for 3 years straight. Just want to throw it out, man. We breeding
the church, man.
We breeding over here, man. We breeding this, man.
Yo, so
like I said,
Darnell, so to your point, right? So his last catch was 633, was at 633 in the second quarter. He had 3 receptions up until that point and 5 targets already. I do believe those catches that Grayson was making on that touchdown drive, that game-winning drive, were AB's catches. And so I feel you, Christian, on not giving him sympathy, and it was making my skin boil when everybody tried to run to that on like the mental health. And I was just like, man, like, is it a crazy thought to just have that? What if AB don't have mental health issues? What if he is perfectly within his right and sound conscious mind?
What if everybody else just fuck ups and it's not him?
Like, what if everybody else is wrong and trying to give him a pass and he's consciously within his right mind, knowing what he's doing, and either he knows the consequences and he don't care about the consequences of his actions, or he just don't care all around.
He'd be arrogant.
Arrogant, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I think he arrogant, bro. I think he don't give a fuck.
Because right, so everybody tried to immediately go to the race car. Oh, they trying to stall him out. Right? They don't.
Oxymoron. He was on the sideline at the Nets game, I believe, the following day.
The same night, I want to say.
Same night, probably was. He had a chain on that was a B, and if you slow that part down. The chain is AB. Thus his name, Antonio Brown. I just thought that was pretty funny because when you look at the chain and you be like, is that AB? But then it's like, it really is a B. And I just thought it was actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
So the argument,
Edward, just real quick. You know, you're saying, you know, if he has mental health or not. Again, I could care less if he has mental health issues or not. Don't walk on the team.
yo,
Hey,
so
I am who I am.
to go against the trying to fall him out and I want to let him get his money. It was reported, I don't know if it's true. And I want to say Bruce Arians said this, but I didn't hear it or see it for myself. I just heard it out there through the grapevine. It was supposedly a known fact that AB wasn't benched. It was also reported, may be true, may not be true, that what led up to him acting out was because he felt like Tom Brady was favoring Gronk down the stretch as opposed to him. That's what's reported. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just giving y'all all sides of the spectrum. And it's also, and it was, I'll let you go. And it was also reported Arians asked family to go back into the game to try to go out and get the incentives and the catches and the yardage and the touchdowns. What was you gonna say, Darnell?
If you look at the targets, like the person gets the most receiving yards is there you go.
I got them for y'all. Don't worry.
But that's the thing. But I'm not gonna say all that. But that's the thing. Like, come on. I looked at him like, bro, I'm not seeing the problem. Maybe like you talk about your mama.
outside of AB, you had 9 different receivers who caught passes that game, and out of the 9, 8 of them had two or more catches. So it's just like, bro, we trying to win. I don't know. Like all of that added up and thinking about that, and I could see possibly that being an argument if you look back on working your way up, and it's like, damn, like they ain't really been like showing AB no love. It's Brady, so it's not like Brady can't like pick apart the defense and like get you the ball when he wants to, or manipulate whatever type of matchup. And I could see if it's not like he wasn't getting the ball this game or that game, but he coming off the previous game. 15 targets, 10 catches, 100 yards catching, 100 yards receiving. And so I really don't think AB crazy. I was listening to Tom Brady talk. I don't know if I'm just a blind.
You probably gave that Leonard Fournette talking to Antonio Brown being a little bit more combustive. I don't think he was more apt to that stern talking by Bruce Arians. Hey, either you submit, get with the team, or go home, man. AB probably was like, nigga, I don't know who the fuck you're talking to, or I'll really go home in this bitch.
You must know nobody.
You know, it's always one nigga on the team like that, bro, who will let his nuts hang no matter what, bro. Don't give a fuck about the world.
That's the worst thing about it is,
unfortunately, all the talent in the world just...
The only credence I may give to... Well, I don't want to say I may give to. It's not whether I give it to him or not. Like Bruce Arians said, if he needs help, hope he gets it. I don't think that help is rooted in him continuing to get chances within football. But when he had the court issues and they ordered him to, one, go take anger management classes and get a psychological evaluation, I was like, maybe you may have some a little off if the court felt like that was rude, but I also know that could also be another form of manipulation in the courtroom, so you can have a lighter sentence to say, oh, they was kind of really off their square when they were acting out.
You can't always keep seeing smoke from AB and not say that it's not a fire over there. Like eventually, it's like, well, that nigga. Everywhere you go, they tripping.
Yeah, as they say, the common
denominator.
Exactly, man.
Yo ass.
So to wrap it up, AB needed 1.3 million, and he had 1.3 on the table in incentives. He had 8 more catches
in 2 games.
In 2 games, 8 more catches, 55 more yards, 2 touchdowns, and an additional 255 more yards, with still a quarter and a half still left to play with a full game. I
Against
don't know
who?
if the New York Jets. I don't know if that.
No, it's
I
somebody
believe
else next week. Carolina.
Panthers, yeah. So
Carolina.
I don't know if I really want to believe Antonio Brown wasn't calculating all that. I think his blood was deeper than rap. I think his blood was deeper.
I'm
my
not
thing
sure.
is, you got the greatest quarterback behind center, bro, and you one of the best receivers. Like, I think he never studied Tom Brady's film ever at all, like how he operates. Because it's like Tom Brady he'll pick you if you work for it, but that's about it. There is no favoritism, nigga. You still have to be that guy to be the guy.
If you know
be
his
fucking
last 6-7 years, bro, he has a favorite target. His name is Rob Gronkowski.
I mean, but
he likes to target him when they get into the red zone, so it's not a. AB should have been like, bro, it just ain't my game to go completely off. He had just literally had 2 or 3 games in a row where he went over 100 yards and back to back.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Like, nigga, you tripping? You getting the target? You getting the attention?
He just notices. What I'm saying. He don't look at his film
Maybe
like, bro. He don't pick out. He picks out the mix match. Like, if I can hold this big ass motherfucker, why am I keep avoiding it?
Yeah. Hey, one thing though, I just Antonio Brown should be a Hall of Fame receiver, but I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, he's going to get the treatment that T.O. got. I'm not sure if he'll ever get there to the Hall of Fame, even though he's one of the best receivers
T.O.
in the
got
game.
in though.
I know T.O. got in, but I'm just saying. But again, T.O. didn't go to this, even though T.O. had a bad rap. T.O. didn't even go to this extreme. So, you know.
Yeah, he didn't go to his enshrinement. He had it done at his college.
No. I'm saying T.O. didn't walk off on his team in the middle of the game. You know what I'm saying?
T.O. AB tripping, bro. AB tripping.
Yeah, so I'm saying T.O. hasn't gone as far as Antonio Brown has gone. So because of that, I don't know if Antonio Brown will make it to the Hall of Fame because of these antics. And also too, I don't think that Antonio Brown has the career numbers that T.O. had. You know, as his play on the field, he has an argument to get inside of Canton. But as a whole body of work as far as the player on and off the field, I'm not sure if he'll make it.
All right, man. So to wrap it up real quick, Georgia's playing Alabama national championship. Side note, Izzo, I think I'll say it. I think we did a piss poor job on giving praise to your alma mater this year in college football.
Oh man, yeah, man.
But I'm gonna put that on you, not me.
Nah, man. Shout out to UTSA, man. We had a historic year in our football's young program's life. It will be 10 years marking this year. With us having, 10 years of us having a football program at UTSA, man. And this is undoubtedly the most successful year that we've had in the tenure, of our short time being established. So, man, shout out to UTSA football. Shout out to, the coaching staff up there, making some good decisions. And, that being with one of the more reputable picks, Michael Davenport, starting defensive lineman for the New Orleans Saints. So yeah, man. UTSA is all throughout the league too, man. You're looking at Morgan tight end for the Vikings. We got a couple UTSA ballers out there, man.
Yeah, Will Hernandez, Giants guard, still doing things. So yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so Georgia, Bama, college football national championship, rematch. I think rematch of our rematches. You have Alabama, who beat Georgia at the time when they were the number one ranked college football team in the SEC championship.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time when you have two juggernaut teams, I won't say most of the time, sometimes when you have two juggernaut teams play each other, if it's not in the SEC championship, it may be early into the college football season, so whichever team moves, they still got time to build themselves back up into the college football rankings. But going into the SEC championship, both teams have a full body of work. At that point in time, Georgia was undefeated. Alabama had only lost to Texas A&M at that point. They played, they picked this up. Alabama beats them 41-24. Everybody's like, what's going on? Obviously, there's that stigma of Nick Saban and Alabama just having the card of Coach Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs.
I got $100 on Alabama.
Troll. Yeah. All right. So my question to you, Coach Johnson, and to all y'all, how would y'all go about, how much stock would you put in looking at film from the past, film from what they did in their last college, what they did in their last playoff game?
They get to big games and they choke. I'm counting on the same thing. Georgia, this happened with Georgia every year. The year they had Nick Chubb, the year they had Sony Michel was supposed to be the year. And every single year, whether it's the year they had the little racist quarterback, Jake Fromm, he didn't do shit. He ain't shit in the league. He ain't home, bro. Like, it's every year it's, oh, they're going to run the SEC. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. Bro, no, they're not. They're going to crumble when you need them the very most. They will crumble and let you down.
For the most part, the conversation we was having earlier about just, looking at the board, like, oh, they got all the NFL #1 picks in Georgia in their defense, rather. Yeah. For the most part, against everybody they play up until Alabama, it looks like, talent to talent, they're going to wipe through whatever team. But for whatever reason, when it comes to Alabama, and they were beating Alabama in this game. Alabama didn't walk through them 41-24. Alabama were down for a large part of this game for the SEC championship before they eventually came back and Bryce Young went off and went on to win the Heisman. Coach Johnson, like, if you looking at film, if you're on the staff, you got Bill O'Brien there for whatever reason. Like, how much stock are you putting into all the film that you got? What are you, like, putting an attention to detail in terms of all the film you've been able to accumulate on this team? Whether you're on Alabama side and you already feel like they are who we think they are, or whether you're Georgia and you trying to, why the hell did they beat us?
Yeah, I mean, I think both coaching staffs will go back to the SEC championship game, try to figure out what we're right, what we're wrong, to try to reassess the game. But I'll agree with Sean Hart here again. I don't see Georgia being able to overtake Alabama because where Georgia is strong, Alabama doesn't play through that, right? So as far as who Georgia has, as far as being the big names who are going to be draft picks, they are people who are front seven or in the middle of the defense. And Alabama's able to win on the outside, right? Now, they do have one corner who may end up being a top 100 player. But Alabama has guys who are going to be top 50 players on the outside. And so Jameson Williams is going to be a number one first round draft pick. And then Bryce Young, if he were coming out this year, would be the number one draft pick in the NFL. So where Alabama is strong, where they're able to attack, Georgia's not strong at as far as their defense. And then as far as Georgia's offense, they're mediocre like they've always been. And so and Alabama has a strong enough defense to stop that. So I'm sure that Nick Saban, Bill O'Brien, and Coach Doug Marrone will go back and look at, hey, where can we improve things and all that. Kirby Smart might try to figure out ways to stop the Alabama offense with the talent he has. But I don't see it happening. They don't have the horses to keep up with Alabama in the right positions.
Do you get rid of Kirby Smart if he loses?
No. Kirby, no. They spent I think 9 years with the previous coach. I forgot the guy's name. Mark Ritt. They spent like 9 years with Mark Ritt, who had them, always kind of, somewhat playing around with the top of the SEC, but they can never get over the hump. But now, I mean, with Kirby Smart, you've at least been in the conversation for the past 3 or 4 years with him. They always get quality recruiting classes, and so with Kirby Smart, you at least could give yourself a chance. It's hard to even be in the conversation to compete. So they're in the conversation to compete with Alabama. They're in the national championship game for the second time against Alabama, and so no, you don't get rid of Kirby Smart. To be where they are, hey, you got to keep hacking at it. Who knows? We just talked about this earlier on in the podcast. There's who knows where the ball can
I know.
can go and all this stuff. I'm just saying that hey,
Bro, we all know
there's
where
a
this is
chance.
going, bro. Either you like
But I'm saying
mediocrity, you
there's
like
always a chance
second
though.
every year, or you want to win, bro.
I
Kirby
think
Smart
it's
ain't it.
I think it's more.
Bruh.
I think whether or not you get rid of Kirby Smart, I think it's not rooted in whether they win or lose.
This is a mentality.
Obviously, if they
bro.
win, they keep them. But whether or not, it's more so how they lose if they lose. If
they
they
lose.
if they get
heartbreakers,
like
bro.
body slammed, I think people gonna be like, look, like we just gonna have to like build back up from the bottom and figure this out. But at the same time, it's like, bro, what you gonna get mad at the coach because he can't beat Alabama? Look around.
I'm just saying how many of those coaches are around?
Exactly.
Are you really going to try to go through the carousel of coaches again, just so you can try to get here to get a chance? This is your second national championship in what, 4 years that you're playing in? I mean, good God, no! Don't get rid of him. Can he give you one? I don't know. But I mean, man, no, don't get rid of him. He's giving you a chance.
Lincoln.
O'Reilly.
I know he's going somewhere else, but I just saying.
USC, yeah, I believe, yeah. Oh, O'Reilly. All right, man. All right. All right. O'Reilly, shoot that sponsor this way, O'Reilly. When y'all get time to get up. Respect the Game podcast, fellas. This has been a beautiful episode. I don't know when I went out. Did Sedacious ever say something when he got on or no?
Nah, that nigga ain't
I didn't know he was on.
Oh, okay, he ain't got on.
I seen that little name. It didn't say today. I'm gonna tell you that.
Oh man, yeah, man. But nah, man. Our first episode of the week. I'm of the week. That too of the year. Thank y'all for rocking with us. Remember, soon and very soon, we'll try to work towards making it happen at the end of the month. Obviously, we're on mostly all podcast platforms, but you'll soon be able to check us out through video on Spotify. So we're moving up in the world. We got that approval as a small podcast coming up in the game. We got so you can check us out through video on Spotify soon and very soon, not just Facebook. I mean, Facebook or YouTube, I really mean on YouTube. So love y'all. Tune into the podcast next week. Get back in the comments. Get on social media. Get at us. Probably dig in deeper with all our NFL predictions next week. And yeah, man, this is the Respect the Game podcast. And remember how to treat your 2022 like a bougie soccer player. Don't kick it with people who got no goals. Love you, beautiful people. See you next week.